Sorry, I just did a massive sniff.
That's okay.
I forgot to mute myself. I pressed the wrong button.
We'll just think you're doing coke during the...
Just high as a kite. I'm going to apologise now. I am struggling with a cold, so if I sound a bit crusty, then that is the reason. I'm not fully warmed up and tuned today.
But I'm a little horse as well, so we're both a little horse. Cantering around the paddock together. Yay!
Both on the same page as well. That's brilliant.
Indeed.
Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Talk Musicals to Me, a fun theatre podcast about musicals and their impact on people. My name is Caroline Sheen, and I'm here to quiz some of the leading creatives in the entertainment industry about their relationship with musical theatre and how certain musicals may have influenced their lives in ways you may not even expect. From how they first encountered a musical to musicals they may never even have seen, let's dive in and introduce today's guest to open up and talk musicals to me. Joining me on Talk Musicals today is what I think the kids would term today a multi-hyphenate. I don't know if you've heard of this, but I think Jeremy SAMS is probably one of our best examples of a theatrical multi-hyphenate. He is a director, a writer, a lyricist, an orchestrator, a musical director, a composer, and I believe, I'm sure I've seen this somewhere, a translator as well. He adapts things, he directs things, he writes things, he teaches. He is a remarkable theatrical legend. He is Jeremy SAMS, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have him on the podcast today. Jeremy, welcome to Talk Musicals to Me. How are things with you, Jeremy, apart from the hoarseness?
Great. I'm in the middle of rehearsing a musical, you'll be surprised to hear, which is going great, and busy, which is very nice. Lots of different things to do. And as you described, those things, they pop up still, which is lovely.
That's fantastic.
So it's not so much one career as lots of little careers, you know, which together add up to something okay.
I think maybe even the first time I might have seen your name on anything was when I was studying my A-levels. I was absolutely obsessed with the book I was studying for English, which was Jane Austen book called Persuasion. And that summer, I think after my A-levels, an adaptation came on the television of it, and I was actually terrified to watch it because I was worried it was going to ruin everything that I had in my head. And it was what I would call the most perfect Jane Austen adaptation, with the most beautiful music in it that you wrote, which I think is absolutely stunning. I tell you this every time I see you, I know that. I walked up the aisle to your music. When I got married, because I loved it so much.
Because people love Jane Austen and Persuasion, particularly when they see that movie, which is a great Roger Marcel's, I think, masterpiece. They, just as you said, this is the soul of the book. This is the essence of the book. So it's so much more that they love. And you walked up the aisle to it. I've had it played at funerals.
Oh, gosh.
Seriously, someone got in touch and said, my wife's just died. She loved this film. Can I have the music for a funeral? I said, yes, of course.
Wow.
And about 5 weeks ago, I did a podcast on Radio 3 about composers composing that music. And I was playing it on the piano, and I hadn't played it for a while. And the woman who was interviewing it, like you, had loved it and had listened to it non-stop. And I was playing it. She said, I can't believe it. You're playing it. That's it. That's the music that's happening. So, yeah, it's a lovely film. And if anyone hasn't seen it, it really gets the sadness and lostness and Amanda Root.
Absolutely perfect. Amanda Root, Kieran Hines. I mean, everyone talks about Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy, but Kieran Hines as Captain Wentworth. Hubba hubba, may I say. Fabulous.
No, please. Use both those words.
I honestly think it's the best Jane Austen adaptation there is. I love the Pride and Prejudice, Andrew Davis one. I think that's excellent as well. But this one is head and shoulders above all of them. It's wonderful. So get out there and find that adaptation. It's wonderful.
A few years after that, I had to work with Kieran Hines on Assassins.
Yes.
Couldn't sing a note. My God, it was hard.
Oh, no.
He was very funny about it, but we worked really, really hard and just so charming. In fact, for Vic, I mean, delightfully charming and handsome, which is not quite what you're used to necessarily, but he's great.
Yeah. At the Donmar, right?
That's right.
One of the sort of inaugural productions, I think, or the first musical they did there under Sam Mendes.
First show of any sort they did there.
Wow, amazing.
It was Assassins, yep.
That's incredible. I love Assassins. Podcast listeners will know my absolute obsession with that as well. This is going to be a fun podcast. Shall we jump in, Jeremy? So my first question is, When did you first meet musical theatre?
I don't know if I listened to you and James Lapine the other day. Just like him, my background has nothing to do with theatre. I'm quite late to the theatre. What I am or was is a classical musician. So classical music and playing piano was my life. And I liked music of all sorts, but not in any way to do with drama or story. That came much later. But I do remember me and a friend who were musical theatre fans clubbed our pocket money together and we went for some reason to see Fiddler on the Roof in the West End. I can't remember which theatre. And all I remember is something really clear, which I've never forgotten. And in the opening number, it's the old Hal Prince production. In the opening number, Tradition, I remember thinking, actually saying to my friend, there can be nothing better than this. I felt it really strongly, and I've never seen a musical before, and it didn't at that time part of my life at all, but I just thought, what I'm watching now cannot be better. And you know what? I think I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
That opening sequence, there is nothing better than that in musicals or anything. And I don't know what it is I saw, but in every way, it was revelatory. Before then, I remember I went to Croydon Record Library. Remember record libraries? You could take a record out.
Right.
So I'd take something out every week or two or twice a week, something I didn't know. And this had just come out, a thing called Company by someone called Stephen Sondheim. And I didn't know what that was or what he was because I was 13. And I put the record on. And again, that thing, I thought, I don't know what this is, but this is unimprovably wonderful. The reason I like that so much, because I didn't know who this composer was, I got to later, but he plainly loved the music I love. Britten, Ravel, Satie, and I was crazy about those composers, and all I could hear in this music.
So you heard those references in the score?
That's all I heard.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's all I knew, really. It was contemporary classical music. And people forget that's actually where Stephen comes from.
Right.
His knowledge of music was greater than anyone's I've ever come across, including conductors, including musicologists.
Wow.
He absolutely steeped on all knowledge. And going to his house, the record collection and the CD collection of absolutely everything. And he'd play me stuff which I'd never heard in my life. And I'm, really, really clued up. So that was my first connection with that music, and also with him, a shared passion for other things. So that was my first exposure to musical theatre music. But still then, all I was really interested in was German song and clarinet sonatas, and I went to music college as a piano player, and that was it.
Did you start playing music from a young age then, Jeremy? Were you learning the piano? And
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There was piano around the house and lots of music, and I've had a completist's hunger for music,
Wow.
And as you probably have for theatre and musicals, as for everything. So I wanted to know everything. Semi-detached in Croydon, not very much happening at all, except via books and music, but not theatre. When I got to theatre, that became the place where all of this made sense.
Yeah, where it all came together.
And was all useful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What you were saying about going to see Fiddler on the Roof and that opening number, it is something that has been mentioned a lot on the podcast, is that it is potentially the most perfect opening number of a musical there is, I think. It's the way it lands you right in that world and you learn about it all so quickly and so effortlessly, seemingly. It's very well structured and put together, I think.
It's amazing. I've got a few other favourite opening numbers. Most recently, do you know Honeymoon in Vegas? Do you know I Love Betsy from Honeymoon in Vegas?
Yes, that's a great song.
That, for me, is about as good an opening number. And again, Sondheim complimented Jason and said, this is as good an opening number as Tradition from Fiddler on the Roof.
Wow.
Because the story's there, it's fun, the backstory's there, the future's there.
Yeah, it's a great score as well, isn't it? Honeymoon in Vegas, the music to that. I didn't get to see the show, and I think that they've done a concert version of it over here, haven't they? Which I didn't get to. But yeah, it's a fantastic score.
Both numbers are about the past and the present and the future. Add Ragtime to that, please. There's much great opening numbers.
That is immense as well, isn't it? I think possibly actually has a bit of a nod to Fiddler because of the whole world that you are involved in straight away. With Fiddler, you meet the mamas, the papas, the daughters, the sons, and in Ragtime, you meet the immigrants, you meet the black community, you meet the privileged white people at the same time. It's, I just saw it a couple of weeks ago in New York. It was very, very, very good.
How's it looking? How's it feeling? Did ice close it down?
Well, we were there about 2 days before the shooting of Renee, and so it hadn't actually happened when we saw Ragtime. But you could feel in the audience. It didn't feel like I hadn't been out to New York for about 15 years. It didn't feel like the same audience I'd sat in 15 years ago. There was a kind of energy and an electricity about everybody. Everyone was switched on to it in a way that I hadn't seen before.
So it's almost an act of protest to go to a musical.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think potentially, especially ragtime.
Yeah.
It speaks to Americans about who they are, who they have been, and who is threatening now. It was potent. It was a very potent atmosphere, but still such an incredible score and musical as well. Just wonderful. Fiddler and Company. I love those two shows. I think Company, I am not a classical music aficionado. I don't know a huge amount about the references there. Is there something you could tell me that references things specifically for you?
Well, funnily enough, talking of Satie, the Barcelona is a gymnopody,
Oh, yes.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the complete Satie gymnopody.
Bum, 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 bum,
Exactly. In
bum,
this case, cha cha
bum.
chan chan.
Yeah.
And what it's about is time standing still, of course. Doesn't often happen in Sondheim that time stands still. But this is about a moment of poise that could go either way. The girl could either stay or go, and we don't know. And that's why he chose a music of stasis, as it were, of silence.
Yeah.
That gymnopody, the time stands still in them, they could go on forever, and they do. And that's exactly why that appealed to him as that model.
That's one of the one classical pieces of music that I could actually try and smash out on the piano every now and then, but it's very rusty.
There you go. We'll try singing Barcelona on top of it.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. That might make it easier. So, Jeremy, my next question is, which was the first musical you were ever involved with?
Just after music college, as a piano player, I would occasionally play for rehearsals and get sucked into that world. And my first one was, I was very lucky that the early pieces, the masterpieces, Oklahoma in the West End. And I started playing for rehearsals for that, which was the production at the Palace. You weren't even born. Jamie Hammerstein did a big old revival of Oklahoma, and I played the piano for rehearsals.
Oh, right.
And that was amazing. And Maria Friedman happened to be in the show. She was in the chorus. We weren't even friends then, let alone anything else.
She told us a fantastic story about her audition for that.
Yes.
She's our first guest on this podcast, and that started us off in a brilliant fashion.
Maria was there and her husband, and they don't remember me, but I was the guy playing for rehearsals. And I thought, oh God, this music is fantastic. And then I got books. There's a lovely musical director called John Owen Edwards, who's lovely, who's still around, who got me to do things. And then I played for the rehearsals and auditions for a My Fair Lady tour. And for that, I was at the piano a great deal with Alan J. Lerner. So completely lucky straight off. So I'd sit with Alan, and between auditions, I'd ask him about, what was it like working with Bernstein on this number? And tell me about Kurt Weill and things like that. What was the opening night of My Fair Lady like? And he was a very, very open, very lovely guy.
Oh, how fabulous.
And so those were my first playing experiences.
You have to pass them on now. You have to tell us these stories. What did you say?
Well, funnily enough, I said, working with Leonard Bernstein on Pennsylvania, whatever it's called, the White House musical. You and Bernstein, it can't have been that bad. He said, Jeremy, it was worse. He plainly had a horrible time, but he was really lovely. But what was nice is, unbeknownst to me, I was straight away on Fair Lady, Oklahoma, Fiddler. And I think even then I just thought, well, playing musical theatre only consists of masterpieces because these are just masterpieces.
That was like some of the top ones, isn't it?
Yeah, got lucky. And also Fair Lady and Oklahoma. I couldn't believe how the good number followed great number. And even now when you see Fair Lady, you can't believe how they just keep on coming,
Yeah.
It's the musical quality, and that's all I was interested in, was very high.
Yeah. So did you play in the pits for them, Jeremy? Were you in the orchestra as well?
No, rehearsals. And I did opera rehearsals as well, but entirely from the musical point of view. I worked a lot in opera, and my first job was working in opera houses around Europe because I spoke the languages as well, so that was handy. But for me, operas were basically like symphonies with singing. The drama element of it, I hadn't got. And the reason I mention that is when I got it, it just made total sense. And then what happened was there was a director, no longer with us, very sadly, who literally changed my life, called Stephen Pimlott. Do you remember Stephen Pimlott? You ever come across Stephen?
Yes, I think I met him once for a failed audition of Dr. Dolittle.
Right.
I think he directed that. But obviously I've seen his work. I mean, what he did with Joseph was phenomenal. And I know he did remarkable stuff at the National, and
So I met Stephen working on an opera.
Oh.
On Gilbert and Sullivan operas. I did a recording of all Gilbert and Sullivan operas, and I had to teach people the scores, including Joel Grey and Vincent Price and Keith Michelle and, Frankie Howard.
Wow.
So that was great. So I met Stephen doing that, and Stephen said, you should be working in the theatre. And I said, don't really know what that means. I had never go to theatre. He was very persuasive. He said, don't be so stupid. Of course you should work in the theatre. And what's more, have you ever written any music? I said, well, no. But he said, could you write music for theatre? And I said, well, what do you want? He said, can you do music in the style of Poulenc and Ravel? I said, I could do that. He said, that's what I want. And he booked me to do a show at the Royal Exchange in Manchester, which I didn't know then, but it's an amazing, wonderful theatre, and booked me as musical director and composer. But most importantly, I turned up to my first rehearsal for a theatre piece. I was like 26, 27, and everybody was like, what kept you? Where have you been? I hadn't realised how lost and lonely I'd been in the classical music world because, and you know it because you came early to it, but I came late to it, family, working together, people with all sorts of weird skills, including me, who found a use for those skills. It's the place where the weirdos agglomerate, you know, and people have got skills at design and wigs, and in my case, music or playing the piano. Suddenly our knack become useful things.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, what I was missing in my life. And I never really looked back, and I've been in theatres ever since. Also, here's the other thing, unself-conscious.
Interesting. Yes. Safe
And unself-conscious. And I don't particularly like being filmed in rehearsal or anything like that, because I don't notice how I am. And in the classical music world, I think I was aware of myself, how I looked, how I seemed, and the relief of not being self-aware, because there's a greater good. And I'm not religious in any way, but something that's bigger than us that we're doing and is important to us. And so I don't feel it's about me at all.
Yeah. Do you feel like part of that, I think, especially in our culture, it's a really good party, isn't it? Everybody brings a really good gift to the party and you have a great time. It's an instinct and a way, isn't it?
It's a thing of looking and being. And when I'm auditioning, you know, you can tell the actors as they walk in the room, you know this, it's a strange thing. And the people who want to be actors or want to be musical theatre performers who aren't, that wanting is, you know, for the people who are it, like you, it's not necessarily what you want, it's just what you are. And sometimes it's a problem.
That's so true. It's lucky that I do want it as well. But yeah, no, I don't think there's anything else.
It's handy.
I could be. Yeah, it's useful.
Yeah.
Jeremy, my next question is, now, I know you've worked on so many, so this might be a really difficult one to answer. Is there a musical that you haven't worked on yourself that you've seen the most? Are you like a fanboy of any particular musical?
I'm an absolute fanboy of practically all musicals. Funny enough, since I mentioned working in Manchester, very early on in Manchester at the Withenshaw Forum, they did lots of Sondheim stuff, particularly, and interesting musicals of all sorts for the first time. In a theatre that doesn't even exist anymore now. I don't know how they managed it. And they did Merrily. And in the end, I went so often. I was working on Carousel at the Royal Exchange at the time, and every evening I would go and watch Merrily. And in the end, they gave me a free pass. Because I was there so often. And I saw Merrily also at a very early production at the Guildhall that Ian Judge did. And every time Merrily has been on, I will go and see Merrily. Not just because I love it and because it's about us, but also because it's an enigma.
And it changes a lot, doesn't it?
Well, the actual version changes a lot. The one I used to go and see was the one that begins with Behold the Hills of Tomorrow, which I absolutely love and makes total sense. And Steve changed it, mostly because it didn't go down very well. In fact, it bombed on Broadway famously for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
And he rewrote it a lot with then with James Lapine and cut the opening number, mostly because he didn't like the idea of it being done by kids, because one of the problems with doing a Broadway show done by kids is that it's being done by kids. But I love the way the music, then this fantastic crossword puzzle, that's the other connection I had with Sondheim when we first met. We both crazy crossword puzzles. So the way that the music, that first music, Behold the Hills of Tomorrow, the way that iterates all the way through the show in all sorts of different versions is absolutely amazing. And I love Merrily. So I've seen that many, many times, including this most recent iterations that Maria's done and will again. So that was a real one. Like the Piazza, I saw so often in New York. We'll talk more about that in Piazza. Guys and Dolls, I go and see a lot.
It's on a lot, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it?
And also it's like going to see an old friend or an old relative. You know, it's very, very nice to see how they're getting on. The most recent, the Run the Bridge was, do you see that at the Bridge Theatre?
I loved it.
Wasn't that fantastic?
I loved it. Yeah.
It was wonderful. And again, it's a piece I know really well, and it's changed over the years. It's quite plain to me now, and it hadn't been for years, that it's actually about addiction. I've often wondered, why on earth does it start with, I got the horse right here, the name is Paul Revere. I thought, why does it open with that number? Because it's not really relevant, because it is relevant, because it's about addicts.
Yeah.
They're gambling addicts. And the show is about a sex addict and a gambling addict who are trying to live normal lives. And if you're an addict, it's very hard to lead a normal life. And it's just, then that's actually, it's suddenly clear to me what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about addiction.
Yeah.
And how you deal with it.
Oh, that's fascinating. I've never seen it from that angle before.
And even actually, Danny Rocking the Boat is a source of alcoholics AA meeting share. He says, I brought my bottle on board, and all that. So there's that element to it, which the reason I mention that is that shows change as you get older. You see different things, and suddenly you're the age of the people writing it. You start off being the age of people in it, then the age of people writing it, and then you're older than any of them. But the beauty and the wisdom of it is still there.
That's one of the things I noticed the other day. I went to see Mary Poppins, and I found myself massively moved by a scene I'd never been moved by before, because now I'm a parent and I hadn't seen it since I wasn't a parent, I was like, okay, now I'm seeing things through this lens.
And you talk about Guys and Dolls, the silly song More I Cannot Wish You in Act 2, and I've always thought, I'll cut this song. But now, an older person helping a younger person out and wishing them well, I think, oh my God, that's lovely.
Sitting there, tears streaming down your face. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, I'm terrible.
That's interesting what you say about addiction. And I think it's not necessarily an addiction, but the religious aspect of it as well, the Salvation Army, it's a commitment, isn't it, to an absolute involvement in that as well. So almost like a blinkeredness.
And looking for the high that you're never going to quite catch.
Yeah.
Sarah Brown is looking for a connection with God that she can't quite find.
Yeah.
And she learns that the only way to connect with God is to do it via people, and she hasn't quite worked that one out. And they're all after this high, and they'll throw their relationships under the bus. And then there's the addicted women as well, who are addicted to hope of possibly getting a relationship.
Eventually getting married to someone.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you done it? Have you done Gaffy Doll?
I have. I've always auditioned for it, but I go in for Sarah and then I get told, oh, would you read for Adelaide? And then I'll go in for another production for Adelaide and then I'll be asked to read for Sarah. So I've always sort of fallen between the two stools, but I think I'll probably be sort of General Cartwright material soon. So maybe, you never know.
I find it a bit sad sometimes that when it comes to musicals, particularly written by men, which is most of them, the women's choices are often quite binary. Is she a Sarah? Is she an Adelaide?
Yeah.
Is she a Julie Jordan? Is she a Carrie Pickridge?
Yeah.
Is she a Laurie or is she Nado Annie?
Yeah, exactly.
Is she the good girl? Is she the bad girl? And that, for some reason, are
you the ingenue or the soubrette?
Yeah. Then General Cartwright or Nettie Power. She's a good girl, bad girl, or an old girl. And because men write musicals, those are the two women who are available.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is I've always been one of those people who I think I sort of look like quite a good girl, but I love a bit of comedy as well. So I'm always sort of never quite one or the other, or too much both. Who knows? It's fun though. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
What's my next question? I know what my next question is. Which musical has made you laugh the most and which has made you cry the most?
Well, cry is the big one because I'm terrible. I mentioned Stephen Sondheim before. I used to go to theatre a lot with him because when he came over here and in New York, he's even worse crier than I am. He's just terrible. And one time he said to me, Jeremy, I cry at card tricks. Right, anything. Funnily enough, remembering, I've got a terrible, terrible weakness for Howard Goodall's show Love Story, which is just every time I see it, destroys me. And I went to see a version a couple of years back in a tiny theatre not far where I live in South London. And it was quite a homespun production, and the show started. And as usual, the minute it started, I was off. And it was a tiny theatre. And my partner, Louise, was so embarrassed at the noises I was making. And I don't cry quietly because I can't. And that show, whenever I've seen it, and Howard Goodall is so underrated, I think, as a musicals composer. Have you had him on the podcast?
No, not yet. I would love to get. He's on my list.
Howard is a great, great melodist. And that show is flawed, but I mean, we can talk about this later. I think all musicals are flawed. It's not a criticism at all. The best are flawed. But that slayed me. I remember going to see a show called Catered Affair. Did you see Catered Affair?
Oh.
John Bacchino's show.
That was on Broadway, right? I don't know if that's happened over here. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so touching. A complete stranger handed me a handkerchief. A total stranger just handed me a Kleenex and I thought, you'll need this. That gets me.
But do you think it's because you love the medium so much? You love musicals so much. I can tell that. And I'm totally there with you. That when you see it done well, it's a bit like, do you ever watch that pottery programme?
Yes.
And the guy who's the judge on that, if someone comes up and shows him something they've done well, he bursts into tears. And I think that's what we're clearly like. Because if look at this musical I made, like, oh, it's amazing.
I think I've got two categories of crying. The first one is love story. I also think of Fun Home, which always undoes me, Carousel, like the Piazza, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about more. And what they have in common, I was trying to think about this just before I met you, is that they're all about quite simple people doing their best. With difficulties. So Love Story is about grief, and Catered Affair is about a couple who lose their kids in the Korean War and how they deal with losing a child.
Wow.
But it's all about how simple people deal with complicated things. And Carousel is another example. That's the first category. The second category when I cry is just what you said, when it's so bloody good. So West Side Story, a show that you've yet to see, there are moments in West Side Story that make me cry because the craft of what I'm seeing is at such a high level.
Yeah.
I don't really care whether Tony or Maria live or die, I'll be honest. But the skill of what I'm seeing is amazing. So again, a lot of Sondheim, the whole sequence of Someone in a Tree from Pacific Overtures makes me cry because it's so ambitious and so wonderful and touching and beautiful and difficult. And Opening Doors from Merrily, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so complicated and so ambitious. And I watched Into the Woods the other day, and there's have you seen Into the Bridge Theatre yet?
Not the new one yet, no.
There's a tiny thing in Into the Woods called Your Fault, which is a tiny, tiny number when each of them say the reasons that it was someone else's fault, the thing that happened, and it's genius. And that makes me emotional as well.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah.
Watching a potter making a pot in front of you. There's a YouTube clip of Picasso doing a painting in real time, you can see, and he does this, and it takes him 50 seconds, and it's beautiful. You think, whoa, that's kind of, So there's that. Not that it ever took Sondheim 50 seconds.
Just apropos of talking about simple people dealing with complicated things, when I was out in New York, went to see Maybe Happy Ending. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. I've heard about it, though.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Is that the robots?
Yeah, they're robots. And they're, like you say, very simple robots who see things in a very simple way because they are machines. But they have been taught, and I guess they're AI, they've been taught to see the world in a certain way through the people who have previously owned them. And one of them has seen someone, who loves jazz music, and all his references are through brilliant jazz songs. And then the other robot has seen a relationship fall apart. And so she has her informed opinion on romance, and to see the two of them then go on an adventure together. I won't spoil anything, but it was beautiful. And I do think, like what you say, the simplicity and the honesty and the truthfulness of something can be quite breathtaking. And I think because you're watching robots, they are flawed and they are quirky, but I don't know, it's a little bit like watching, I guess they're like Light in the Piazza, where you're watching Clara and Fabrizio. It's the innocence of it and the fact that they are learning on the job. Something connects with everybody there.
Yeah, those musicals particularly, people who wouldn't normally sing. I know that's ridiculous in a musical, but there has to be something that makes ordinary people sing. Something in their ordinary life that changes, and we're talking about just that, So like the Piazza is a really good example. They're doing their best and things happen and they change and they have to sing. Come From Away. I love Come From Away. Ordinary people playing the ride full of people and their life changes and they sing about it.
Yeah.
I prefer those shows where people are going to sing anyway.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Although I love those shows too, but when I have to sing about this because I don't know how to say this.
Yeah.
We talk about Fun Home, the amazing number when the really young girl, do you know Fun Home? You must have. You were in it, but you did it? No, you haven't done it.
No, I haven't done it. You're talking about Ring of Keys, is it that one?
I am going to talk about Ring of Keys, yes.
Yeah.
Where a young girl sees an obviously and openly gay woman and she doesn't know what it is, but it makes sense to her.
Yeah.
There we are. That's me watching Fiddler on the Roof. I don't know what it is, but... But yeah, I don't know what it is, but it makes sense. And she's not knowing. She doesn't say, oh, there's a lesbian, I'm going to be like that. She says, I have no idea what this is. She says, I know you.
Yeah, fabulous song.
I know you, yeah.
So which musical makes you laugh on the other side of the coin?
That's a bit harder. I think Forum is about as good a funny musical as you could imagine because it's put together by fast specialists, by Larry Gelbart and by Bert Travelov, and it's timed brilliantly. And Sondheim, never really goes on about it, but I think it's one of his greatest successes in that it does what it says on the tin. It sets out to do this thing, and it does it. The story is perfect. The laughs just keep rolling on, and it's adorable. And that's one of my absolute favourites. And then certain bits of certain productions. I remember watching the most recent Company at the National, the gender-changed one. The whole Not Getting Married Today sequence was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Virtuoso staging.
She was poking her head out of all different things, wasn't she?
Yeah.
The girl singing.
The fridge opened and
Bless This Day.
Sung and
Yeah. It was very, very clever.
And the timing of it was just amazing. So that, but laughing for me happens on lines rather on whole shows.
Yeah.
Comedies are a really tough thing in musicals. I mean, there's so much of so many musicals, particularly Sondheim musicals, I find hilarious.
Yes.
And James Lapine is a brilliantly funny writer.
Yeah.
Watching Into the Woods the other day, I was reminded of these brilliant lines. 2 printers, each more handsome than the other. I mean, come on.
Brilliant line.
Yeah. There's loads of that.
If you're just listening to it, because I've heard it so often because I've been in it doesn't even land in my ear. But then as an audience member, of course it would. Funny thing happens on the way to the forum. There's that fabulous story, isn't there, that they wrote Comedy Tonight in Boston or Philadelphia, wherever they were trying it out, to inform the audience that they could laugh. I don't know. You might know better than I do. Or maybe nobody knows. Where did the title for that come from? Like you say, it does what it says on the tin.
Absolutely. It's what vaudeville or Borscht comedians say when they open their acts. Good evening, Leslie. A funny thing happened on the way to the theatre. I met this person and she said this.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it's an absolutely stock line that we've now forgotten. All comedians will begin their acts with, a fun thing happened on the way to work today. Because it's a great hold-all for then including any story. Nowadays, people say, on my way to the gig on the airport, I saw a woman who did this or whatever. And nowadays, no one bothers when they're doing stand-up to do it, to pretend even there's a backstory. So that's what the title's from. So instead of theatre, you put forum. But it's funny, isn't it? We've forgotten about it now. We now say it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I've heard people say that. I wasn't sure if that was actually from the musical. I wasn't sure if that was the reference or if the musical was the reference, you know.
No, it's a vaudeville trope.
It is a very, very funny show. I had the privilege of being in it at the National.
Of course you were. Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed making people laugh. I think that just being on stage and saying lines that the audience find funny is such a thrill. And that script is perfection for comedy.
Did you sing Lovely? I'm absolutely lovely.
I did. Philia. I played her and I played her well.
Lovely is what I do.
Yes. Lovely is the one thing I can do.
That's lovely.
I did her as sort of a blonde bombshell with a very broad Welsh accent, and that went down really well. Isla Blair, who had played Philia in the original with Frankie Howard, played the older role. It was Philip Quast as Miles Gloriosus.
Miles Gloriosus.
With the most fabulous thighs you've ever seen on a stage in your life, in a very small Roman skirt. It was pure joy from start to finish. So I love it when anyone mentions that show.
I wonder how much we could do it nowadays. It might be just so many difficulties and problems. We'll do something else.
You know, everyone says everybody ought to have a maid might be problematic nowadays. But the thing is, what's being lampooned in that is not the fact that they all find a maid attractive, is that they're all stupid enough to think that the maid might find them attractive.
Yes.
If the angle is correct, you know, well, not correct, but is clever, I think you can do it. It is about sex workers, though.
I saw Whoopi Goldberg doing it.
Oh, did you?
I saw Whoopi Goldberg doing it. Yeah, that was terrific. And Sondheim rewrote quite a few lyrics for her.
Oh, wow.
And that was really good fun.
Because she took over from Nathan Lane, didn't she?
But yeah, if you can't get Nathan Lane, get Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, for God's sake.
Yeah, wow. And playing a slave, that brings on very different connotations then as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it was terrific. And she just ate the place up, you know, wonderful.
Wow. I love Whoopi Goldberg. Absolutely adore her.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm very happy with that answer. Thank you, Jeremy, because any excuse to talk about that show is wonderful. My final question of the first half. My confession question, which, as you already know, I do admit to never having seen a professional production of West Side Story. I've seen amateurs, I've seen the movie versions, but never a pro show. Is there a musical that you regret not seeing?
Regret is a difficult question. There's quite a few I haven't seen sort of on purpose. Actually, Jason Robert Brown has got a rule, and Jason says, I never go and see a show I know I'm not going to like, which is quite a few shows of Jason, because he's got quite strong feelings about things. I've got only a few. I've never seen the film or any stage version of Grease ever, so I don't really know what happens.
Wow. That was my professional debut. I made my professional debut in Greek.
I plainly missed your version as well in that case. Where was that?
That was at the Cambridge Theatre. It was the David Gilmour production that went on for ages and ages.
Yep.
I think I was the fifth or sixth cast in it.
Never seen Grease.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Lion King, and that's embarrassing because I've told Julie Taymor how much I enjoyed the production.
You fibbed.
But I fib. But I hope she never sees this. So I've never seen Lion King for some reason, and quite a few of the modern ones I've not really. I've never seen. Have you seen Six? I've never seen Six.
Oh, that's definitely worth seeing. I mean, they're all worth seeing, I would say, obviously.
I know.
But I didn't see Lion King for years, years and years and years. And then I had a friend in it. And so I went to see it and I was like, what have I been missing? It is phenomenally staged piece and the music's incredible.
I will go and see it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
I've lied about it so much, I feel like I've seen it,
Also, we've seen it a lot, don't we? I think the Circle of Life has opened like the Olivier's or the Royal Variety, and we've seen bits of it, haven't we? But
exactly.
To see the whole thing is quite brilliant. And Six is definitely one you should see.
I know.
Because I think you love clever words and you love clever lyrics. And I think that is a very cleverly written piece, actually. It's more commercial, but it's done so well because it's brilliant, I think.
I'm working right now with Carrie-Anne, who choreographed it.
Oh, yes.
And I will have to go and see it because I'm watching her work in the rehearsal room and she's absolutely brilliant. So I know I'm going to like it.
So what are you working on at the minute, Jeremy? Tell us what you're working on right now.
I'm doing extra lyrics or helping out on lyrics for a show called One Day.
Oh, yes.
Which is based on the David Nichols novel. Some good people involved in that. And I'm helping out on anglicizing and writing extra lyrics. It's written by an American couple of brilliant songwriters.
Right.
And I'm sort of adding a bit of sass and a bit of contemporariness and a bit of Englishness and some musical theatre rhymes and things. So I'm sort of co-lyricist on that right now.
Well, who could ask for a better person to be involved in a new show?
That's looking good. Jamie Moscato's doing it.
Jim, and who's playing her? I can't remember. Is it Sharon? Sharon Rose? Is it Sharon?
Sharon Rose is doing it.
Fabulous cast. And when does that open? Is that quite soon?
Yeah, in rehearsals right now. We open in Edinburgh in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, I can't wait. Do you know what? I've never read the book and I've never seen the film.
Perfect.
Or the TV series. I'm clearly waiting for the musical version. That's what I'm doing.
Well, that will be a show you cry on. It really will be a show you cry on. And Max Webster's directing it. Nigel Lilly is doing all the music part of it. Simon Hale orchestrating. So it's really good people. So it's great.
Oh, what a great team of people.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, let's hear more about that and other musicals in the second act. Thank you, Jeremy. So, on Talk Musicals to Me, I thought I would use this opportunity to support some friends of mine who have small businesses. And I put a message out on my social media to see who would get in touch and to see how I can help them amplify their voices. So, I have a couple of ones that I would like to mention today. So this one is from my friend John Chartres, who runs a small business specialising in accounting for the arts, self-employed actors, musicians and stage management, as well as small production companies. Friendly advice and good value for anyone who wants to get in touch at fresheyesfinance.co.uk. And this is from a dear mummy pal of mine called Lucy McCrudden, who runs a non-profit called Dance Mama, which is dedicated to supporting parents who dance on and off stage. With evidence-based information and support, plus over 80-plus stories, we help parents continue their careers in dance from a physical, mental, creative, and logistical viewpoint. Check out www.dancemama.org to see how they can help you navigate your career as a parent. And finally, Jessica runs something that sounds like great fun, a thing called Showtime Circus, which can be found at Showtime_circus on Instagram. It's a circus school franchise and helps other small business owners franchise or license their business. It's based in Birmingham, but I think there's lots of them around the country. So get online and have a look if you want to learn some circus skills. Hello and welcome back to the second part of Talk Musicals to Me with the incredible Jeremy Sams. I'm having such a wonderful time talking to you, Jeremy. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and wonderfulness.
It's been huge fun. I don't often get asked about musicals, so it's a secret passion. Well, not a secret passion.
It's just nice to have a chat, isn't it? That's what I'm loving.
Yeah.
That's what I love about doing this podcast is I'm talking about things I love with people I massively admire. So I'm just having a wonderful time, full stop, really. Before we chatted earlier, you were telling me about you've been doing some teaching and first of all, lucky students to be taught by somebody like you. Wow. And secondly, it leads on very handily into my first question of the second half. If you were part of a school team, what musical would you put on the school curriculum?
It's a lovely question. I don't know if it might even be on the school curriculum, but this is left field and this is my secret passion, Blood Brothers. I absolutely adore Blood Brothers. When I first saw it, I was working in Liverpool and saw the first cast. I've seen all sorts of people going on in it and over the years. And there's only been one production.
Yeah.
And that's terrific. And Willie Russell is taught in, education reach and all those things are absolutely on the curriculum. And I think Blood Brothers should be as well because it's about kids. It's beautifully put together. It's amazingly structured. It's got all sorts of social messages in it about class, particularly about class, which is something that if you're British will never go away. And it's sad, it's beautiful, it's touching, it's got an attempted murder in it, and it's got unemployment. It's a political musical. It just happens to be extremely popular and for that reason has always been rather underrated, but not by me. I think it's absolute cracker. You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it a fair few times and each time been an absolute mess at the end. Potentially, actually, more so than any other musical, I think. I think if I asked myself the question, what makes you cry the most, I would say Les Mis. But I think because I cry all the way through that, but I think in Blood Brothers, the end is so devastating that you come out of the theatre and you can't think straight for about an hour, I think.
And very cleverly, the production that we all know starts off with two people dead on a stage and a chalk outline around them. And at the end of the show, they fall dead into that chalk outline. And we know it's going to happen. And the story is ancient. It comes from, Byron or even Moliere, two children from different classes separated at birth who go to the wrong parents.
I was going to ask about the story because I don't know the origins of it. So what are the origins of it? I wasn't sure if it was original or based on something, or is it, like you say, something that's a story that's been told for years and years?
Ancient, and it goes back to Roman comedies even and plays about children mixed up at birth, children separated at birth, going to the wrong family, Moses onwards, if you like.
Yeah.
So the idea of switching at birth. It's funny because you still see it now on those long lost family shows on TV when adopted children meet their parents. Oh my gosh. But people who discovered that they were literally switched at birth and they were in the wrong families. And these things happen. But what Will is talking about is class and how a posh boy in the wrong family and a not posh boy in the right family can meet. And then they do meet randomly because in Act 2, the family from Liverpool go to somewhere posh, like somewhere on the coast of or the Wirral or something like that. And they're in a council house, but these two kids meet and they become dear friends. They don't know why. And they're brothers.
And they become blood brothers, don't they?
Exactly right.
They do the handshake thing.
Yeah. And then they become rivals for the same girl. And I absolutely love it. It's only had one production, pretty much. And I just, it is my guilty absolute secret. And funnily enough, I did an interview once, indeed with Sondheim, and I said, my guilty secret is Blood Brothers. And then a few months later, I worked with Willie Russell. And he said, why is that a guilty secret? Oh, whoops.
If something is too popular for its own good, I think sometimes that people just go, oh, well, I've heard of it. And if everyone likes it, then it's not for me. Do you know what I mean? People get a bit snobby about it. But my God, if they went and sat and watched it, they would be absolutely blown away.
Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Sound of Music. Sound of Music, as good a show as you'll ever see in the theatre.
Sound of Music winds me up. The way people go, oh, it's saccharine, it's so sweet. I'm like, have you seen it? It's about the rise of Nazis in Austria, and it's dark as anything. It's about a family that ends up having to be displaced because of the Nazis in Austria and the Anschluss. And I don't understand how anyone can watch Sound of Music. Sorry, I'm getting really high pitched because it winds me up that people go, oh, it's, it's all soppy and sweet like Sound of Music. And I'm like, I think it's literally just because there are children in it and people go, oh, isn't that cute?
And because it goes, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
That's the song you sing to stop being frightened.
Yeah. Because you've done the Sound of Music, haven't you?
A lot, yes. I did a huge production at the Palladium, which was massive.
As a director then, weren't you?
A director, yeah.
Yeah. Just checking, because you could do it all.
No, I directed that one. And that was a big, big one. If you remember, that was the first of the shows that Andrew Lloyd Webber did, where he cast the lead part on the telly.
That's right.
So there's lots of unknowns there, lots of unknowns and uncertainties. And Rob Jones, the designer, and I wanted to do a big production, because we wanted to show people who knew the film that theatre can do things even more wonderful than cinema can.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. And then that went to Canada and all sorts of other places and toured a great deal. That was interesting. And it's a very, very, very well-made piece indeed. But the stage show is quite different from the movie.
Yeah, because you have the two trios or duets for the Countess and Max, don't you?
Yes.
And they are very much about the insidiousness of the right-wing extremism coming in and all that, which is
exactly
very current right now.
No way to stop it, which often gets cut, which was cut for the film, which is so interesting because it's the same song as What Would You Do from Cabaret.
Yeah.
It's the same song, wasn't it, pretty much in the same year, about what do you do when politics, do you go against or do you go with? All our friends in America right now, do we go along? Do we protest? Do we hunker down and wait till it passes? These questions.
It's dangerous to do both, isn't it, really? There's no win.
Yeah, or either.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a serious, serious piece in all sorts of ways. And the Baroness turns out to be what I would call, she's a pro-Nazi.
Yeah, she's definitely a sympathiser, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, split up, as is Max. And they split up over politics.
Those close friendships end up being divided. And that's what we're seeing so much of now, aren't we? A lot of my American friends, families are being divided by politics. And
100%.
That's what the aim is, isn't it, of all these people, is to divide and conquer. As, what do they say? 'Twas ever thus.
'Twas ever that, is what they say.
Yeah. No, so I think Blood Brothers, I think Sound of Music, like you say, almost too successful for their own good, really. And maybe there will be a time where they're kind of reevaluated, but that time is when you sit in an audience and watch it yourself, really.
Yeah.
Blood Brothers, it ran for years and years and years in London, didn't it? I don't know how long it did go to Broadway, didn't it? A couple of times, maybe?
It did. With David Cassidy, I think.
Oh, wow.
Bizarrely.
Yeah.
And it didn't last very long.
It's a very British story, isn't it?
It must be on tour somewhere right now.
Surely. If it isn't, then there's something wrong in this country and we need to sort that out first before we sort anything else out.
And I know school trips go a lot, but that would be my curriculum piece.
Brilliant. What is my next question? Hold the line, please, caller, while I check. You'd think I'd know them by now, wouldn't you? But let me just see. It is... I know it's a good one and I can't remember what it is. Oh, I know. Which forgotten musical would you like to see remounted?
Well, you've done a few of these podcasts. I can't be the first person, surely, to say Allegro. Am I the first person to say Allegro?
I think that's a Talk Musicals to Me klaxon for a first mention of Allegro, potentially. Unless there was one very early on, potentially maybe Adam Gettle might have talked about it. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, Allegro. Hello, welcome to the podcast, Allegro.
No, Allegro is a sort of lost musical. Incredibly, it's written between Oklahoma and Carousel.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah. And it had the biggest advance, as you can imagine, because Oklahoma was the most massive hit of its day. And on the strength of that, the advance for Allegro on Broadway was enormous. In 1947, and as you probably know, an advance can disappear quite quickly because no one liked it. Rodgers and Hammerstein couldn't work out. They did Oklahoma, which was a massively experimental musical in so many ways. Everything about it was new and different. Yeah. And it was a huge hit. And they literally didn't know whether it was the newness and the differentness and the excitingness and the experimentalness of it, or the homespun, all about all America stuff that was the success element. So they then made a brave choice, which is to do an even more experimental musical, Allegro. And then they discovered that it wasn't the experimentalness of it.
It was the homespun.
The homespun, and then the carousel next, which is, all about whaling communities in Maine.
I always thought it was a really late one of theirs. You've schooled me there. Thank you, Jeremy.
Couldn't be more modern. And more than that, Stephen Sondheim was a gopher on it. He worked on the show, helping out, moving scripts around and watching the director work on it. And it blew his mind because it was experimental and interesting. They couldn't fix it. And Sondheim always used to say, I've been trying to fix Act 2 of Allegro all my life. It's a modern piece, and it has a sort of a whole story of the life of a person in the couple, but told in a very modern. I mean, the influences are Pirandello, Priestley, who you mentioned. Experimental theatre. What happens historically is that in America, the experimental theatre was all over the place. All these interesting playwrights, early Beckett, but also Pirandello, like I say, and Priestley. But in musical theatre, for some reason, that sense of modernity did not exist.
No.
Until Hammerstein, and suddenly everything was modern again. And that's where Sondheim comes from, because he fell in love with that. Allegro's got the most beautiful numbers in it, and it starts with a Greek chorus singing, and the story of a boy growing up. Anyway, and there's a recent recording, actually, which is brilliant, that actually got Sondheim on it. He's played one of the professors as a voiceover. And it's got Audrey McDonald and all sorts of other people. And it's got beautiful songs in it. It's huge. It's a company of about 30. There's no way you'd ever get it on. And I've seen college productions. I've seen 2 or 3. It's the high-grade Rodgers and Hammerstein at their very, very best.
Sounds like a good one for a college, because if it's got that many people in it, it's a good college shout, right?
Loads of parts.
Yeah.
Yep, loads of parts.
I think I sang a song from it when I was in college. Am I right? Am I going to embarrass myself now? Is The Gentleman is a Dope from Allegro?
It is, absolutely. The Gentleman is a Dope.
Great song.
It's a great song. That's an interesting little trope, because that's a song sung by a character we don't really know who comes on and sings a fantastic song. The first of a group of subtext section of songs sung by people we don't really know, which are the best songs in the show.
There should be a concert of those, shouldn't there?
Can I give you Another Suitcase, Another Hall? We've no idea who that is.
Yeah.
The song in Bridges in Madison County that the former girlfriend sings.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And then off she goes.
Fabulous song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my little subgenre. Another Life, it's called.
Yes, we need to collect them all, don't we? And put them all on a playlist on Spotify or something like that.
Yeah. Songs by people who we don't know who they are. But they're fantastic.
I would put King George's song in Hamilton in there maybe, but we all kind of know who he is and what he does, so
100. No, you're completely right. He comes on, sings this song, and then goes, and then lurks in Act 2. I remember seeing your husband lurking in Act 2.
He's a good lurker.
He's a good lurker.
That's a great one, Allegro.
Yeah.
I wonder if it could ever be done again. I feel like maybe they've done it in somewhere like the Union Theatre or Southwark Playhouse or something like that.
Did?
Maybe like 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
But yes, I never got around to seeing it.
There's a song called You Are Never Away, which I absolutely love. And there's a sort of Climb Every Mountain, You'll Never Walk Alone style 11 o'clock number as well, which is called Come Home, which is absolutely, it's lovely.
When you said earlier that, you must have heard this one before, the one we get a lot, and I think probably for this question that we've had at least 3 people answer with it, is The Most Happy Fella. That's the one we get a lot for this question. Yeah, no, I've looked at that. I don't know it. I know songs from it, so I'm going to start listening to it, and maybe that's going to be a project to try and get somebody to do it.
Has anyone said On the 20th Century? Anyone said that one?
No one said that. That's a beautiful show, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very funny, I think.
Yeah, they're all big, though. They're all big.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yes. I feel like, did they do a revival of that?
Yes, they did.
In the last 20 years with like Kristen Chenoweth, maybe?
Yeah. Which Allegro's never hit London or anywhere.
Wow. And that's amazing that I always thought Carousel followed Oklahoma, but wow, Allegro was in there before. Amazing.
Yep.
Can we all add that to our Spotify? Maybe I should do they do Spotify playlists, don't they? And I should add them all on there. Talk Musicals to Me playlist. Brilliant.
You bet.
So, Jeremy, my next question. Oh, I've lost it again. What's wrong with me today? Oh, I'm being utterly useless. I apologise. Right. My next question is Is there any musical which inspired you to make a strong choice in your life?
Well, the answer to that is a very strong yes. And the show is something I still think about, which is Sunday in the Park with George. Funnily enough, those two The Pine Sondheim shows, Sunday in the Park and Into the Woods, specifically those two, are all full of life lessons. They're all about learning. James was younger, but Sondheim was already 60, I think, maybe a little bit younger when he wrote those. So he's full of wisdom and regret and loss and sadness, and without children, although he would have loved to have had children and would have been, I think, fantastic dad because he was a great mentor. So all the life lessons in those shows, specifically at Sunday Park with George, when I first heard it, it knocked my brain out of its moorings. The choice may be mistaken, the choosing was not. How about that?
Wow, yeah.
You chose and your world was shaken, so what? The choice may be mistaken, choosing was not. And my God, I've made a few wrong choices professionally and also personally, but I've made choices.
Yeah, and that's the thing to do.
You choose things and then you lose things, as Dot says. That show is so full of amazing wisdom. Amazing wisdom.
Have you ever worked on it, Jeremy? Has that been something that's crossed your path?
Yeah. I was musical director when it was at the National Theatre.
Oh, wow, were you?
Yeah, in the 90s.
Wow. With Stephen Pimlott. Was that Stephen
Pimlott?
Wow.
Yeah, and Philip Cross, famous for the thighs, and Maria Friedman and Claire Burt was in it.
An incredible cast, wasn't it?
Nick Colicos was one of the soldiers. It was great. So I worked on that, and that's when I first worked with Sondheim. We were working as I was musical director, and when we first met, he was doing some rewrites on the number for the Celeste. There's a number called The One on the Right, the one about the two soldiers. Really good little punny lyrics. The girl's talking about the two soldiers. The one on the left is right for me, so the one on the right is left for you. That thing. And he was doing more. You have it in Forum as well. Right, left, there's none of the enemy, right, left, right, and all that.
Yeah.
1, 2, we not only fought, but we run too. He's got those little puns. And I was working on it with him, and I got overexcited because I hadn't really met him before, and said, "Oh, if you're writing new lyrics, you could do this, you could rhyme this with this," I said. And he very sweetly said, "Jeremy, leave that to me."
Oh, that's kind, isn't it? Rather than going, bugger off.
Which is a very kind thing to say. And I, of course, I left the room and tried to kill myself in a dressing room, you know. And the reason we became chummy was I wrote a piece about working on that show for The Listener, the magazine we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And he read it because he did the crossword in it. And he read the piece I wrote. So he wrote to me and said, well, you know, you're quite a good musical director, I guess, but you write really well. And we became friends, not just colleagues, but friends because of that.
Oh, that's lovely.
So Sunday Park with George. So that number that Dot sings, another line about critics. Who cares whether your vision is new? Let others make that decision. They usually do.
Yeah.
So just, you know, anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new. All these complete and utter life lessons all the way through about creative people, about not worrying about reaction, about critics, about people who have Sniffy McSniff and...
Yeah, it's a vulnerable thing to be a creative on anything.
Yes.
To put yourself out there and go, here you go, I've made this. Look, I made a hat. Whether they like the hat or not, you still made that and achieved that. But it is, you know, it's a very, very vulnerable position to put yourself in.
And critics and criticism, particularly for Stephen Sondheim, is ever present. So there we are in Sunday Park with George. Two critics turn up, and there's a number called No Life, if you remember, where they look at the painting and say, this is no good. And then later on, what I just said, that others make that decision, they usually do. In a couple of shows after that, Assassins, the implication is that John Wilkes Booth killed Lincoln because of bad reviews.
Yes. Yeah, exactly that.
Even as early as Evening Primrose, when you have that guy who's a writer and he's hiding from bad reviews. He's written something and people haven't liked it. And he's decided to become a recluse and live in a department store because of bad reviews. And you're right, you do make yourself incredibly vulnerable. And one thing about Steve, which if anyone said anything bad about any of his shows, they were just dead to him. They became non-people. Yeah. So Jerry Herman said something bitchy once. The tone is when Kajal Fall won over Sunday Park with George. Jerry Herman said something publicly about, oh, this is a good vote for Melody in the theatre. And it was bitchy about Steve, and he never forgave him. Alan J. Lerner once said something to him bitchy in the men's room in the theatre. And I said to Steve, well, I met Alan J. Lerner. Oh, yeah, that bitch.
He held a grudge.
Like Sweeney, he never forgot and he never forgave.
Wow. I think as performers, obviously we get our performances criticised, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we are vessels for the people who have written it. So it's almost like, I guess sometimes you can go, oh, well, it's not very well written part. And I wasn't, it's not me that wasn't good, it's the part, or, whatever. Not that I would ever say such a thing. But I think for the people who have created it, it's a huge thing, isn't it? Obviously, performers don't like being criticized because they're on stage trying to do the best, but I think it means even more to the creatives. And so when it is something you have literally put your life's work into for the last god knows how many years, then some sniffy arseholes come in and don't like it, then you're not going to be very happy about it.
I mean, what's the Yeats line? Tread softly because you tread on my dreams. It's really personal. And I worked on Passion, directed a version of Passion sometimes next to the Pie musical. And that was pilloried by press and also by audiences, because half the audiences did not get it and they took against it in a big way.
Which is really sad. I loved that production. I came to see that in London. I feel like did you open in Plymouth and then it came to London?
Yeah,
and
we did.
I was in drama college when I came to see it and I wept throughout the whole thing. I think that was a weepy one. Obviously, we weren't allowed to put that because it's the one you've worked on, but that was a very weepy one for me. And I thought it was beautifully done.
People who get Passion are a group of people. And some people, they just look at it like they have no idea what's going on. And that's entirely fine. And because of that, I did something really radical, which is that the production on Broadway didn't have an intermission. I put an intermission in on the West End. And the reason was that people who didn't like it can go.
Oh, that's funny.
Literally an intermission in as a cull. So if it's not for them,
get them out.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say so they could chat about it in the interval and understand it because other people would tell them what it was.
No, so they could go to Joe Allen's. That was what it was for. And say to Joe Allen's, I knew we're in at 10:30 and it's 8:30, but can we have our table anyway? Yeah. On Broadway, because the people who hated it stayed, and as Fosca turns up more and more and more, they just laughed. I was just at performances where they just laughed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that cruel? They kind of denigrate it, don't they, by saying it's kind of Sondheim's Beauty and the Beast, but sort of gender swapped. But that's taking it back to such basics, and it's two humans seeing each other for what they actually are deep down, and isn't that what all of love is and life is, basically, at the end of the day?
100%. And nothing to do with Beauty or the Beast.
No.
Seeing unconditional love versus conditional love. How true love can just, whatever it is, as sometimes says, it can rip you open like a crab. That's the expression. Can absolutely rip you open.
And in your production, you had the added bonus of getting to see Michael Ball's bottom, which,
That's very good. It's quite a rare sighting, that.
It is. That was a special moment for a lot of people, I imagine. So what do you think is the secret to a good musical?
I think I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about musicals being flawed. I think all musicals are merely an attempt to do the impossible, which is to put the world in a shape of, probably 2 acts, which hopefully will appeal to enough people to keep it running, which has got all human life in there, which has got entertainment and singing and dancing and accuracy of emotion and all the things we've talked about. And it's not possible. But what we're watching always, I think, is an attempt. And when some people say to me, that musical's flawed, I say, yeah, because it's a bloody musical. Of course it's flawed. It's an attempt to put magic in a bottle, which is really, really hard. All I can say about what you've just asked is I'm observing that we've already talked about it. Ordinary people with difficult problems that they can't voice and that can only voice in song. People discovering feelings that they hadn't had before and can't quite name. People who think they know the world who don't know the world. Weirdly, so many musicals also, we've mentioned, Carousel and Oklahoma and like the Piazza and others, are all about discovering things in a certain place. Place is important, I think.
Yeah.
I often think a successful song, is about a person in a place with a problem. And I think that's probably true of musicals as well. People in a place with a problem. And very often the world they're in is the problem. So the first thing I mentioned to you was Fiddler on the Roof. There's a changing world.
Yeah.
It's a changing world politically and also in terms of cultural traditions are changing. Men and women are dancing. In Oklahoma, the world is changing. The cowboys and the farmer should be friends are finding a brand new state in Carousel. The mechanized world is being put onto so Enoch Snow has got got a canning factory in a whaling community, if you see what I mean. So new worlds are coming all the time. I mean, Light in the Piazza couldn't happen in Winston-Salem. It has to happen in a place where it's new and different and strange, and we discover things.
There's some sort of theory, isn't there? There's some sort of, I'm going back to drama college days now and learning about dramatic theory. We used to have an hour-long lesson on dramatic theory twice a week. And our lovely professor, he was called Eric Salmon, a wonderful man. And he said something about a green space. And I think it was in relation, the example he used was Midsummer Night's Dream, that you have people, they go into the forest and they come out of the forest and they're changed. And that's some kind of, somebody's kind of dramatic theory is, or some theatre practitioner mentioned that. And I think quite a lot of musicals happen in that green space.
Well, Into the Woods, we just mentioned it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's a definite reference to Midsummer Night's Dream and As You Like It. You go into the forest and it changes you. That's why the production in the Regent's Park was so amazing, because it actually was in a forest. That was just fantastically beautiful. Yes, so it's a new world, or a part of the world you haven't discovered, or a changing world, or two worlds colliding. To mention a show you don't know at all called West Side Story, in which one day you'll see. I won't spoil it, but everyone dies. So that's, two different worlds. That's why the second movie, the Spielberg movie, is so good, to see an immigrant population. And there was a great production at Leicester, which I saw recently, really good, where it began at Ellis Island, where the people were arriving. So those are the things I find that are often very useful to get something going. Surprises in a known world, or a known world changing. So we mentioned passion. There's a known world. There's a barracks in the known world, and it's all ordinary. The same thing happens every day, and then suddenly someone turns up. Michael Ball with his bottom turns up, and the world has changed.
What a thing to happen.
Michael Ball's bottom and Philip Cross's thighs. I think we're doing a game of consequences here, aren't we?
It's great fun. Who knew?
That can be our next question. Which body part have you most admired?
Which body part do you love the most in musical theatre? I've got a feeling I might know the answer to this one. I hope I know the answer to this one. I might not know the answer. Which musical out there do you go to feed your soul?
Well, I've got two, and I've mentioned them both already. One I should have mentioned about the crying, and that's Light in the Piazza, which is one of those shows I can't even quite think about it without tearing up. It's an absolute miracle. And I cry all the way through that. I remember crying next to your husband and watching you doing it.
Yes, he remembers that too.
He almost shushed me up.
No, he loved it. I think you were expressing yourself in a way that he didn't feel like he could, because he was too nervous for me, but you were doing it all for him.
I was not nervous for you at all. As far as I was concerned, you were Clara, and that was that. I was nervous for Clara, but that show, I don't know what it is. I actually don't know what it is. It is made of absolute magic, and it's about ordinary people discovering things and coming to terms with things. It's about being parents to a special child, and there are all sorts of elements of that which a lot of parents can relate to, and I certainly can. It's about doing the right thing. It's about decency. It's about discovery. Also, it's about a very simple person, the part you played, Clara, discovering the thing that people found. Let's go back to Ring of Keys. A thing that other people, grown-ups, found really complicated, and she finds really simple. It's love.
Yeah, what I thought was wonderful about Clara was, I think, because of her upbringing, she had been living in this very small world, and going to Italy widens her world hugely. And she goes into an art gallery and sees all this wonderful art around her, and that opens her eyes. She's seeing architecture and statues and cathedrals and domes, and then meeting people there that she feels like she knows, even though they're talking a different language. And suddenly her neurons are kind of firing, and that's what I loved playing about Clara, and the utmost trust and living with your heart on your sleeve for her, and then for the mother, who now obviously I'm starting to relate to more and more, to see that happen and to allow it to happen, because there's such a huge part of her that has never allowed this before, to then see it for what it is, and to let her go, to love, and
love if you can, my Clara. Yeah. So someone who's trying to teach their child, who learns from their child. King and I has it by your pupils you were taught, and it's absolutely that. It's also someone introducing a child, she is a child, to a very complicated world in different languages and different art and everything we're talking about, and body parts as Willis. She sees Willis for the first time.
There's Willis. This is the most body part podcast episode I've done. Willis, bottoms and thighs.
I think there's got to be a spin-off. But she finds it very simple. She gets it. And I love that.
I should reiterate that if you go and see Light in the Piazza, you won't actually see live Willies on stage. You will see a replica of Michelangelo's David on the whole, I think. Yeah.
And I always think about in that respect, and that's again the other musical which undoes me and is a life lesson is something to part with George, is that Dot gets his painting. He's a very complicated Georges Seurat, very complicated artist, and she's an uneducated, probably doesn't even read, model, and she says, I love your painting. And all the critics are all sniffy about them. She's a simple person who gets it. Clara, a simple person who gets it. And that's what they both, I find really touching, that all the education and the sophistication in the world is nothing to a simple, loving, open heart. And that does feed my soul because it's something that I'm working on. I'm very overeducated.
Oh, really? That's how you feel? Oh, but you are an incredibly open person with that. And I love how much you've shared with us this podcast, Jeremy. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I do come at things from an academic point of view a lot. I like reading and researching, and I'm about to do a show and I'm watching videos of things that happened during that decade that the show is set in. And
this is Pride.
Yeah, so I start rehearsals for that next week. So I'm watching videos about the miners' strike in Wales and the effect on it, and so I like to sort of fill myself with that. Whereas Mike, on the other hand, who I admire massively, my husband, obviously I admire him, but he goes in on it totally from an instinctive side. He doesn't do any of that research. He just goes in and he plays a human in that situation. And he's brilliant at it. And, I bought him books about George III when he got George III. They haven't been opened, they haven't been touched, because he was like, well, no, I'm just going to go in and play the character that's in the show. So we're quite an interesting pair, and he teaches me and I teach him, In
his case, also, George, 20 lines, 20 laughs.
Exactly that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. No, I find really touching finding the heart, finding the wants, finding the loss and the sadness in people. And what I used to think is there are happy people and sad people. And now I think there are sad people, some of whom are pretending not to be.
Oh.
And that's just fine. And I think that's where musical theatre particularly, and that's why it's such a difficult, impossible medium, it's about what makes someone sing. And it's not about what they know. So, give you a good example. I was talking to the students yesterday. Who would sing a song called I Feel Pretty? And the answer is someone who doesn't feel pretty. It's from a show you don't know. It's from West Side Story.
I do know the show. I've just never seen it done by people who got paid to do it, that's all.
There's someone who sings I Could Dance All Night, has never danced all night. But people don't sing about what they know, they sing about what they're discovering.
Yeah.
That's what interests me so much about musical theatre. Because if you sing about what you know, that's why I come from away. You don't see the day before when they're all at the vet. They see the day when the planes land. It's a Jewish thing, Passover. Have you ever been to a Passover supper? Because they always begins with the words, why is tonight different from all other nights?
Oh, really?
That's the sort of the beginning of the Passover meal. In theatre, I think, why is tonight different from all other nights? It's the day the play lands. It's the day this person arrives. It's the day Harold Hill arrives in the museum,
Yeah.
It's the day the ordinary life changes.
Talking to you and seeing how many strings there are to your bow, have you written a book? Are you going to write a book? Everything is so fabulous. What you're saying is so...
The book I'd love to have written was actually been written, which is Jack Vitel's book about the shape of the musical.
Oh, okay.
Which is an amazing book about the dramaturgy of musical theatre. I would have loved to have written that book. This is absolutely perfect. But all these things really, really interest me, as they do you.
Yeah.
And what's lovely is I'm enjoying the musicals. Don't get me wrong. I love a chorus line. I'll watch Ann Miller clips till the cows come home, I love all that. But I like someone lost in the middle of that. Follies is a really good example.
Oh, yeah.
Lost people in the middle of a chorus line. And interestingly, Company, if you remember, in Side by Side, there's a moment when a chorus line without someone in it. And in Follies, a tap number with a missing person because they're dead.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Gypsy, how the vaudeville numbers are part of the changing world and the lost world. See, Gypsy is a really good example of a changing world when vaudeville is dying, and Gypsy's a good show. Have you done Gypsy?
I've never done Gypsy, no. That was one of my sort of dream roles when I was younger, but
there's one waiting for you.
There's a few waiting. One of those old strippers, or maybe Mama Rose, who knows?
Yeah.
I was wondering, saying about writing a book, have you written a musical? Because you can write, you're a lyricist. I think you've written books as well for shows. Have you ever written a whole show yourself? Yeah, you wrote Chitty, right? Yeah,
I wrote the book for Chitty that you were in for a long time. Yeah.
I was in it.
Yeah, you read it. I've never written the whole show. I think the very simple reason is that I've got to collaborate and I've got to present something to someone who says, yeah, that's good, or that isn't right, or whatever. Or they've got to present something to me and I say, no, that could be better, or that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
It really is. For me, it's only a team effort. People do everything. I mean, not many. I can't think of anyone who writes, very few people who do book music and lyrics. Sondheim never did, ever.
No, he likes a book writer, doesn't he? And brilliant book writers as well. Yeah.
And it's a collaborative medium. So I think it'll be a bit lonely. But who knows, one day. I've done a lot of orchestration as well, so I can do it.
You're like a whole one-man band, really.
I know, but
never actually done it as a one-man band.
But who wants to see a one-man band?
Depends what body parts are on display. That's what it does.
There we go.
So, Jeremy, you've got one day coming up. Is there anything else you're working on that you can tell us about?
I've just been working on, slightly embarrassingly, translating and adapting a rap musical about Molière, the playwright.
Oh, wow.
And that's a French show. So I'm working with producers and musical directors and so on.
So are you translating it into French or from French into English?
No, from French into English, but also then adapting it quite freely and then writing basically rap lyrics quite a lot.
Wow.
Which is very, very interesting. So I'm learning a lot. We did a couple of recording sessions with guys from Hamilton who are just amazing.
Yeah.
But I was having at one point to explain to a brilliant black rapping artist how rap went. And I just said, I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. I've never felt so white in all my life. And everyone was so sweet and so kind. And it was great. So that might happen, possibly in Canada, possibly somewhere else. But a nice big producer's involved with that. So that was a lot of work this year and one day. So at the moment, lyric writing is quite a big thing. And there's a couple of other direction things in the pipeline. So it's all pootling along.
I remember one of the things I sort of worked with you on that was very short and sweet was we did a workshop together of trying to update Orpheus in the Underworld. Do you remember that?
Right.
And
I do remember that.
That was when I was doing Forum and Philip Quast was there, Simon Russell Beale.
Yeah.
Nick Heitner was putting it all together. And you took a song away that we decided wasn't quite right. And you came in literally the next day, and it had been totally rewritten and totally changed. I just remember being so gobsmacked at how quickly you had turned it around, and it was brilliant. And I was like, wow, this guy is amazing.
I find doing stuff quickly not the problem, because it's sort of, I mean, this can sound a bit weird, but it's sort of in my head all the time. Rhymes and words and anagrams and crosswords and translations, and I've got this sort of track going on all the time.
Yeah.
Which I have to mute quite a lot when having conversations, like with Louise, my partner. I just want to tell her that word's an anagram of whatever. This is why Sondheim was such fun, because he would love that.
You didn't have to switch that part of yourself off.
No, we played a game which I invented, which was one-word anagrams in Sondheim shows. So you take a line from a Sondheim show and you anagram one word. So an example is, again, this is from the show you don't know called West Side Story. I feel charming, oh so charming. It's marginal how charming I feel. Because marginal is an anagram of alarming, yeah? So that's the game.
Do you see the word or do you just know it's an anagram? Do you go, well, marginal is...
Alarming. No, I'm afraid I see it. I mean, Aaron your producer will understand that. He's a crossword doer. Absolutely.
I find anagrams really hard. It's the bit I'm really bad at on Countdown. I wouldn't be able to go on Countdown. I've got the app and it's the final anagram I'm always useless at.
Oh, you mean the Countdown Conundrum?
The Countdown Conundrum at the end. I'm fine with the rest of it. Even the maths I'm not too bad at, but the conundrum, no, I'm not. I'm useless at that. But then I learned in lockdown that people can just see it. Like some people we used to do quizzes with just see an anagram straight away. And I'm like, oh, that's clearly not how my brain works then.
So maybe your listeners will have fun doing one-word anagrams in Sondheim.
Yeah.
I've got loads of them.
Is there an anagram of musicals?
No. There's a good one at Sondheim, though, which is hedonism.
There you go. I like that one. It was quite apt for this podcast, actually.
Totally. When I was a kid, there's an actor called Emrys James, who used to work, Welsh actor, who used to work for the RSC a lot.
Yeah.
Who's an anagram of me.
Oh, Jeremy Sands.
Yeah, Emrys James. So I'm delighted at that. Have you got one?
I don't know. Caroline Sheen, that's all I am. Is there an anagram of that?
I'll give it a go. No, I'll find something for you.
Let me know and I'll add it to the end of the podcast.
All I can see is arse.
As long as ours is in it, then that's totally pertinent to all our discussions today.
Exactly right.
Jeremy, it's been utterly delightful talking to you. It's just so fascinating hearing from somebody who knows so much and has experienced so much of so many different angles of the musical theatre world. And I'm just so glad you exist, basically.
Me too.
Thank you ever so much, Jeremy.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you so much for listening today. This has been Talk Musicals to Me for the Bloop Network. My fabulous producer is Aaron Ware, and the music you heard is from the pen of the sublime Tom Self. If you get a moment, please subscribe or follow and rate the podcast by clicking the stars below on the podcast page. It takes about 2 seconds to do, and it will really help the podcast and its future life and would make us massively, eternally, enormously grateful. In the meantime, another huge thanks for tuning in, and please do so again next time to see who will be next up to Talk Musicals to Me. Have we got Aaron coming back? Here he is.
Yeah. You don't want to know the anagram that I just came up with your name, Caroline?
Well, if it's got arse in it, then that's fine.
More than that, it's got asshole in it.
Asshole? Of course it has.
Yes, H-O-L-E. I was very impressed.
It's got arsehole in it.
Hang on, there's an in then as well, isn't there? There's in arsehole.
There's a nice.
Nice in arsehole.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love you.
Brilliant.